Hey guys, and welcome to today's tutorial on another one of my favorite page styles. Okay, so let's just start with the tutorial for today. And the first step we always need to do for any of those page styles is to cut and score our cardstock as well as our pattern papers. And for the measurements, you can refer to the cutting guides and templates which are available in my Etsy store for different album sizes. And when I cut my cardstock and pattern paper, I always like to label all the elements I have cut. So this is just an example on how to use your cutting guides for cutting and scoring your cardstock and pattern papers. And then after scoring, you can go ahead and do the next step. So the next step for this page style is to attach tape right next to the scoring lines. So we have already scored our cardstock and now we can take our 3/8 of an inch tape, so at least that's what I like to use, and you just want to make sure that you place it on this little flap we have created with scoring, and you just place it right next to the scoring lines without actually covering the scoring lines. And after attaching our tape, we want to cut off the corners of the little flaps we created with scoring. So for this, I like to turn around my cardstock and then I get my small scissors and I just cut it an angle right next to the scoring lines. And just make sure that you don't accidentally cut into the scoring lines, but just next to them. And then once you have cut off the corners, you can continue by folding up those little flaps we have created with scoring. And for cardstock elements A, you want to fold them up on the back side. So just turn around your cardstock and then fold up those little flaps and burnish them down. But for cardstock element C, you actually want to fold the flap on the side where you placed your tape on and the side where you scored it. So you don't want to turn around your cardstock, but just fold it on the front side. Then for the next step, we want to attach cardstock elements A onto cardstock element B. And for this, I just like to remove half of the tape backing from one side, and then I use the non-sticky side to align my cardstock element A with the edge of cardstock element B. And once I've found the right position, I go ahead and remove the rest of the tape backing to stick it down. And then just continue this step, so also add the other two cardstock elements A on top of each other, so always add them on the same side on top of the other cardstock element A as well. Now the next cardstock element to attach to this construction is our cardstock element C, and for this you want to close up your little booklet and then you want to attach this to the open side of the booklet, and you actually want to attach the flap to the back of this booklet. So I just like to bring it in the correct position and make sure that it's perfectly aligned, and then I hold it in place, I turn around my construction, and then I can open up this little flap and make sure that the booklet is not covering the scoring line but just right next to the scoring line, and then you can go ahead, remove the tape backing and fold down your little flap. And then for the closure, I like to include magnets to this page style, so I just use these self-adhesive magnets, and then I just remove the tape backing from one of the magnets and I place it in the correct position on cardstock element C, And then I actually just place the other magnet on top of the first one, so I let it just snap in place, and then I remove the tape backing again and I just close up cardstock element C, so I press it onto cardstock element A and it will just stick in the correct position. Now that the magnets are attached, we can continue by adding our pen and papers onto our cardstock. And before I actually want to round the corners of cardstock element C, so I just use my corner puncher here and then I round the corners of the cardstock as well as the pen and papers. And then for attaching pen and paper, I always like to use wet glue instead of tape, because by using wet glue you're still able to move around your pen and paper and find the right position so that you have an even border around it. And after attaching both of our pen and paper C, we can also attach pen and paper A onto the first cardstock element A as well. And then we also need to cover up our basic page by using the pen and paper for the basic page. So again, I take my red glue and then I place the pen and paper for the basic page onto the basic page. And now we only need to attach our booklet onto our basic page, and for this I don't like using wet glue because this is a heavier piece and I don't want this to rip apart, so I always prefer using tape to attach any cardstock element onto another cardstock element. So I just get my 3/8 of an inch tape and I place it around, along the border of the back side of this booklet, and then I go ahead, remove the tape backing, and I just find the right position on the basic page, and then I go ahead and press it down. And then for this page style, I also like to add either a decorative red or an enamel dot to cardstock element C so that it looks like a button. And that's it for today's page style, which is my favorite page style number 40. And this is another page style on which you could include more than just one photo into a booklet. So yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed today's tutorial. And if you did so, I would love to get your feedback in the comment box down below. And of course, it would also mean a lot to me if you could give this video a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. So I hope that you are having a great day, and I would love to see you in my next video.